Hey, this is Stereo Police back with yet another video. I thought I would follow up with my current system. I just recently, within the last couple of months, completed a bunch of reviews. The DAC reviews and a review of a Yamaha AS1100 integrated amp, as well as a discussion of this amp right here, the Yamaha A1000. There's my TAC, DAC, and the Klipsch Forte 3 speakers. And actually I set out today to do a full, complete and thorough review of the Klipsch Forte 3 speakers. That's what my intent was, but I got to thinking I kind of wanted to do an intermediate video to discuss my to discuss my current system that you're looking at right here. I don't have my turntable hooked up right now, but my current system and why I selected the components I did. Those of us who are really into this stuff, I guess, always reluctant to use the word audiophile. I don't know. I think sometimes maybe I'm an equipment file rather than an audiophile, but I just find it fascinating. I've been trading equipment for decades and decades, and I've had so much more equipment than I've ever reviewed. I only review things or make videos when I feel up to it, so I've just gone through so much stuff. And someone asked me recently if I'd ever achieve, that audio nirvana, so to speak, where I was completely content with a system, had no perceivable gripes or flaws, nothing, nothing that was annoying, just complete contentment with no wants or needs, so to speak. And I had to think about that for a minute, and I really couldn't answer it because I've never really sought to achieve that, to achieve a system where I never wanted to upgrade or replace anything or exchange anything or that sort of thing, because I've always really, as part of the hobby, enjoyed moving things around, switching things up, changing things. And you go from a system that you really love, and then you get another piece of equipment and you don't like it so much, there's something about it you don't like, and then you get something else and you bump it up and you bump it down. So on the audio nirvana scale, let's say of 1 to 10, I've been from 3 to 8. I don't know, maybe 9, but in the past, that is. And so I've never really thought about keeping anything, but maybe it might be time to actually put together a system to really keep, and so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and that's going to kind of segue into what I'm about to discuss. So the system I have right now, and I've had lots and lots, so many things, I can't even remember everything. A lot of it used, going to antique shops, junk shops, eBay, Craigslist, you name it, all the usual suspects. And I've purchased a lot of things brand new. I've spent quite a bit of money on audio over the years, and there's only been a few times where I've really achieved a system that was just, incredibly gratifying on almost all levels. There's always been something, to want, a little bit more of the deepest bass, a little less harshness and graininess in the mids, that sort of thing. There's always been something, but I have to admit right now, and let me go back to the past. So the two systems that come to mind, I don't remember the exact model numbers, there's been so many, but this one system I had about 12, 15 years ago, I forget exactly, I had these NHT 2.5i speakers that I absolutely loved. Incredible speakers. And I was driving them with an Adcom preamp and an Adcom amp. And back in the day, we used CD players for our source, and as well as turntables. And I really, on the Nirvana scale of 1 to 10, I think that was about an 8.5. And I had this other system that comes to mind. I had these Lin speakers. They were Lin Ninka speakers, and I just loved those. Now, they did not reach to the deepest levels of bass, but everything else about them was just perfection. And I was driving those with a Anthem, and I don't remember the model number, but it was an Anthem vacuum tube integrated amplifier. Anthem no longer does vacuum tubes. I think they had they also, Anthem back in the day had a corporate cousin called Sonic Frontiers, if I remember that correctly. They were all tube stuff. They're now defunct, and Anthem still exists, but I think they make receivers or something like that, maybe some amps, I'm not sure. They're a Canadian company, but they don't exist in the same form they used to. But I love that system, that Anthem tube integrated amp. Yeah, I think it had EL34 output tubes, almost positive. It was a push-pull design. Loved it. I mean, might have been an 8.5. I forget, I went through several CD players, but I had a Rotel CD player back then that I really enjoyed. And that might have been, a 8.5. I'd say right now, with the system that I have, I might be at close to a 9. Now, that is surprising. This might be my favorite system that I can ever recollect. And so what it's comprised of, and these are all components that I've discussed in previous videos. It's comprised of the Klipsch Forte 3s. And again, I'm about to do a full review on these. It's the TIAC NT503 DAC. You can see right now I'm streaming from Spotify's Premium at 44.1K CD quality, and my Yamaha A1000. Now, I had reviewed a whole bunch of DACs, and the TIAC came in second place to the shit. And I also have the Yamaha AS1100 receiver that I featured in some of the previous videos. But I have spent the last month moving things around, switching things in and out, just listening to the whole system as an integrated unit. Everything collectively working together, and I have come to this system as being the best combination of components that I have currently. And again, extraordinarily happy. I've achieved that 9, which I think I've never been at before. Obviously, if I'm at a 9 out of 10, there are some things that maybe I'd like a little more of. Very few, actually. I would say, and I'll cover this in the Klipsch Forte 3 reviews, but most notably the deepest of the deep bass, which is hardly present in classic rock, but it is present in some jazz recordings and some other recordings with fake music, artificially created synthesized music. And I don't listen to hip hop, so I could give a rat's ass about that stuff. So here we are with this system. I'm at a 9, very, very happy with it. And this is the system that I've been listening to. And by the way, it took me a while to figure out proper placement of the Forte 3s. I'll cover that in the Forte 3 review. But I've had to put them on risers. Right, you can kind of see there's a box at the bottom of the Forte 3s, elevating it off the ground about 4 inches, 5 inches. And I've had to determine the proper separation distance and the angles, the toe angle or the cant. And I'm still going back and forth a little bit with the toe in angles, but it does make a huge difference in some areas, and I'll cover that in the Forte 3 review. But I'm pretty well satisfied with where things are right now in terms of speaker placement. And I just love this entire system, the way everything works together. And by the way, one of the reasons I'm using the TAC, one, I enjoy the sound a lot. I think it's fantastic. It beat out the benchmark at twice the price. And it also, the TAC, unlike the shit, allows me to connect a Cat5 to it, Ethernet, and stream directly from some music services, including Spotify, which is the one I subscribe to currently. I had Tidal for a while, but and there are others, but I'm happy with Spotify. It has all the songs that I like, and the quality seems to be very good, and it's, you know, CD quality. 44.1K sampling rate and bit depth of 16. So here we have it. Okay, and a couple little things on the A1000, which I think is a fantastic, just a fantastic amp. I prefer listening in the Class A mode, so you have that little green light on there. It's in Class A, and with the direct button push, and the direct button is basically bypasses all filters and tone controls and loudness, so you get a direct link from your RCA jack input directly to the preamp and the amp, bypassing all circuitry related to filters and tone controls, and pushing that button makes a difference. You would think, I guarantee you in a blind test I could spot it right away, because it really adds to the clarity of the highs, which I'm really sensitive to. Really makes a stark difference, and I prefer it in direct mode, which, why wouldn't, I don't use tone controls really. That's not needed in this system. So here we have it. That's my current system, and I'm about to start the review of the Forte 3s. I have a lot to say about them, but I will leave you with this. I think, first of all, in terms of recommendations, I highly recommend any and all of these components. The TAC is just fantastic. This A1000, if you can find one, wow. If you can find one that's working, and the capacitors aren't leaking all over the insides and that sort of thing. There are a couple of issues with it, not functional issues, connection issues. The speaker terminals in the back, which is hooked up, I'm not going to turn it around now, but are just ridiculous. The binding posts for the speakers are just stupid. And one day I'd prefer to put a larger power cord on it, a lower gauge wire, and because it's just got a flimsy little lamp, basically a lamp cord right now coming out of it, and I'd prefer, when it comes to, this is a Class A amplifier, it uses a lot of power, it's very warm on the top, and it draws a lot of current, and to have that stupid little lamp cord coming out of the back of it is just ridiculous. And I'm not one for voodoo audio, but I know that can make a difference in terms of being able to supply. Basically, it's a resistor going from the power supply of the amp to the power receptacle, and I want to eliminate that resistor basically by putting a larger power cord on it, and I'm going to do that. That amp is a keeper. Not getting rid of that one. So all of these things are keepers, really. I don't foresee getting rid of any of these in the near future, which I'm used to flipping equipment, but wow, I really like this system a lot, as I said. So I'm going to go ahead and close this video. I just want to give you an update on, oh, you know what, one more thing, since I'm doing this. So for those of you who have watched my previous videos, I praised the AS1100. That's the Yamaha. Let me go show you that. It's on my workbench right now. It's not being worked on, it's just there, sitting there out of the way. So here's if you remember the AS1100, beautiful amp, beautifully constructed and designed. But I ended up, in my overall system, preferring the A1000. And it all came down to the highs. The AS1100, the bass is heavier weighted. I don't know, there's more of it. I think that the AS 1100 controls the bass a little better. The mids are beautiful, but this amp, the A1000, does everything well, but those highs are just incredible. The accuracy, the brilliance, and compared to the AS 1100 in the other room, it sounds like the AS 1100 is masking micro detail, for lack of a better word, and that is absolutely a fact. I've listened to music with cymbals and piano and various things where micro detail comes into play, and the AS 1000 that you're looking at here is just incredible. As good as any amp that I've ever owned. And it's the speakers aren't a factor. These speakers can produce anything you throw at it. These things are just incredible. The horns are low distortion. They'll handle anything with ease. The dynamics are incredible. Speakers aren't a factor, particularly because I rotated in the AS 1100 in the other room and the AS 1000 right here, back and forth. That was a real burden to do, but back and forth, and the highs on the 1000 are considerably better. And I'm sensitive to that. And again, the mids and the treble, everything is well balanced on this amp. There's no issues with this amp, but this amp ended up winning in this system. Absolutely. So that's why I have the system I have. And with that in mind, I'm going to wrap this up, and it's just a quick update and get on to reviewing the Forte 3s. I'll start with a review of their construction and form and get into some pretty detailed listening evaluations and go from there. I hope I'm so fond of these Forte 3s. I really hope that the review will help people at least get out to attempt to hear them if they can. But I bought them unheard. I bought them based on Klipsch's reputation and the fact that these were released again after so many years, and I'd heard them many decades ago and loved them but couldn't afford them, and this time I said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I'm basing it on the Klipsch reputation of their Heritage series, made in the USA, and I was not disappointed. So I'll cover that in the Klipsch review, but thanks for watching. Just a quick update on my current system and on to the Forte 3s. Ciao.